Hey guys, welcome to The Market is Open. Check out our website, themarketisopen.com. Today we're discussing Cathie Wood's thoughts on Tesla. She's the founder of ARK Invest, an investment firm with over $6 billion under management. Tesla is one of their largest holdings in many of their funds, and ARK Invest was interviewed by CNBC, and ARK is the investment firm with the $4,000 price target on Tesla. I believe now it might be $6,000. But that's the 5-year price target. Usually analysts look 12 months ahead with their estimates, but ARK Invest is looking 5 years ahead. However, in this interview, she says that Tesla has 4 moats, which are becoming more apparent as we're seeing some competitor vehicles entering the market in a year from now or longer. So let's talk about these 4 Tesla moats. But first, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would really appreciate your support in helping us grow our channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell button. You can also follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/themarketisopen and support us more there, and follow us on Twitter at themarketisopen. Okay, so first off, the interview starts with asking Cathie Wood what she thinks about the Cybertruck, and she says that the Cybertruck far surpasses other trucks. People had doubted that Tesla could pull anything off in the truck space, but they created something that's better in a large number of key areas than ICE trucks. And so she believes that it will actually be competitive with the Ford F-150. She says that there's just no comparison between the Cybertruck and the F-150. And this is something that a lot of people don't think will be the case. They don't really know where the market for this type of vehicle will come from. But Cathie Wood does make the case, referencing ARK Invest's own analysis, that Cybertruck shares the popularity of the Model 3 in its early days and is popular in the more rural areas of the country where the current ICE truck market exists. And also, one of her associates, Sam Corris, has done some comparisons and shared them on Twitter, showing that the Cybertruck in fact gets you a better bang for your buck in many key areas such as price, horsepower, torque, towing capacity, and cargo capacity. And that's just factoring in the sales price of the truck, not including the total cost of ownership, which may include gas savings, for example. So Cathie Wood thinks that the vehicle will actually sell quite well versus the F-150 and actually be a real competitor for that vehicle. Okay, so let's get into the 4 moats that Cathie Wood mentions about Tesla in this interview. And these are barriers to entry that if you're another automaker and you don't have these 4 things, then it's going to be very difficult for you to compete against Tesla. So the first moat is Tesla's low-cost battery advantage. She says that the cost of Tesla's battery is so much lower than the other automakers, they'll have to sell their vehicles at a loss in order to compete with Tesla, or charge a much higher price, which simply won't make it competitive in the EV space. And this seems to be evident if you look at some of the competitors' price of their vehicles versus the range. So these are some of the starting prices of electric vehicles entering the market over the next few years, just to give an idea. Of course, the Model 3 is currently out, and these other cars and trucks hit the market in about a year or 2. Now you might say, oh, we're comparing cars and SUVs and trucks, so that's apples and oranges, and you can't compare them. So sure, but what's interesting here is that the Tesla Cybertruck, which is a giant truck, will have the same starting price and the same range as the Model 3 sedan. So when it hits the market along with these other vehicles, I think that Tesla will be able to boost the Model 3 range and the Model Y range, which is expected in 2020, and will make these other automotive competitors look even worse. So even the best competitor to Tesla, which is the Ford Mach-E, which is an SUV, by the time it hits the market, will still have 20% less range per dollar than the Model 3 and even the Cybertruck. Of course, it'll be up against the Model Y because it's an SUV, which has slightly less range than the Model 3. But by 2021, it looks like whatever battery technology Tesla is planning for the Cybertruck, they're going to be putting it into all of their Teslas. Okay, so battery cost prevents competitors from entering the EV market by keeping their costs high. But something that we've been saying in a few of our videos that Cathie Wood points out is that competitors are losing money on each EV they sell, or they're going to be overpricing them such that nobody's going to buy it. And they're also seeing their ICE fleets being replaced by EVs. So they'll be losing at both ends of the market, essentially. Now, this one's interesting. Cathie Wood says that the Tesla AI chip is a moat for the company. Now, the Tesla AI chip is going to be important for crunching machine learning algorithms. Tesla is not only using this for their autopilot and their summon capabilities, for example, but also for detecting when to deploy the windshield wipers with their deep brain neural net. So I think there's so many things going on at Tesla that people have sort of forgotten about this one. The current chip is supposed to outperform NVIDIA's automotive chips in performance and power consumption. I know there's some debate on that, but again, Tesla's chip is vertically integrated with their entire business. meaning they control all of the input into the chip and know its capabilities, whereas NVIDIA needs to design their chip to work for all automakers in a more modular fashion. Another automaker may purchase an NVIDIA chip and it's supposed to just work with all of their components. That normally isn't the case. It normally takes a lot more work to get somebody else's third-party component to work with your own components. So Cathie Wood mentions that Tesla is basically stealing a leaf out of the Apple playbook here, and that's exactly right. For many years, Apple was made fun of for being vertically integrated, basically doing everything themselves and taking on all the work for themselves, including their own hardware and custom chipsets. But you know what happened to the phone industry. Tesla seems to be doing the same thing. And even in the phone space, you're seeing that Google is having trouble competing in the phone industry, which is why they're trying to bring a lot of the things that they have in-house for parts of their business. But it's still super fragmented and modular. But in terms of vehicles, GM and Toyota and Volkswagen, they're not designing their own chips as far as anybody knows, or they haven't announced anything. Tesla went ahead and hired Pete Bannon, who's an expert, worked at Intel and Apple, to be the lead and design this chip for AI. Tesla is also expected to outdo itself in about 2 years after it launched this one and come out with a next generation chip which is expected to blow this one away. Now, during the interview, Cathie Wood gets interrupted by some questions from the CNBC host. Andrew Ross Sorkin's asked maybe like 10 times, as if he doesn't understand, what the market share of Tesla needs to be in the EV space. It wasn't a terrible question, but it did sort of waste half the interview time. Cathie Wood does reiterate that her 5-year bearish case for the company, for Tesla, is still about double the current price, and the target is $700 per share. Actually, at one point, Sorkin quizzes Cathie, asking her what the market cap of Toyota and Volkswagen are, and Cathie Wood responds in an interesting way. She says that it's irrelevant because they're facing hurdles moving to electric and to autonomous that Tesla doesn't need to face. Tesla doesn't have a dying ICE business that will become a huge liability. And he also mentions the market caps of the other automakers. I also think that you can't compare the market caps of these other automakers to Tesla because the Tesla thread is the one crushing these other market caps. Like, you can't make the assumption that, well, GM is trading at 5 times earnings, so Tesla should also trade at 5 times earnings. If you think that, then you're forgetting about the insane growth rate that Tesla has and the negative growth rate that GM has. Okay, so the third moat that Cathie Wood manages to sneak in is the number of miles collected by Tesla of real-world driving, and that's what she's referring to when she says miles collected. She says that Tesla has about 14 billion real-world miles, whereas Google, who's in second place, has just 10 million miles, so an order of magnitude less than Tesla. Also, this number is growing exponentially as Tesla delivers more vehicles with all of the necessary sensors, which no other automaker seems to have. Now, I think the miles collected is one of the most important things, at least for the time being, in order to achieve full self-driving. All of the neural nets need to be trained using real-world data. You can't fake this, and it can't be simulated. That wouldn't make any sense. So I think this is the basis of teaching the vehicles how to drive on their own, and Tesla continues to release and refine its self-driving features. And it also seems to not really matter whether they're on time or if they're going to be late in terms of the self-driving features that they've promised. It seems that they will still be first, which will matter way more. George Hotz, who's a computer hacker expert, who was hired by Elon Musk some time ago to develop some software, and he runs his own AI self-driving car company. George Hotz actually believes that Tesla will be the first company to bring self-driving cars to the market. For the fourth moat, Cathie Wood says that Tesla is the only automaker that can update performance of vehicles over the air. So we've seen that Tesla was able to update the braking distance with an OTA firmware update. I think in terms of competitors, they seem to have, as Apple would call it, the baby over-the-air updates. It's sort of like the equivalent of the Nokia flip phone of software updates. Some of the other automakers can probably update their infotainment systems over the air, but a lot of players can't even do that. Sometimes they might be able to sort of manually update your software if you go into a dealership and they can update it. But imagine having to go into an Apple store every time you wanted to run an update on your phone. It seems ridiculous. So it looks like Tesla is actually running their updates and deployments like a software company. And because of that, they have a rapid feedback cycle that allows them to deploy often, which makes for better software. They can also fix bugs, which all software has, super fast. So I think a lot of people don't understand how big of an advantage you have when you can update and deploy your software maybe 100 times before a competitor can do it even once or not at all in most cases. So this is why I believe that Cathie Wood is looking at this as a huge moat for Tesla in the long run, especially as cars become software on wheels, similar to how the iPhone is a piece of hardware but revolves around its software. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button and hit the bell button if you're thinking of subscribing. Thanks so much for watching.